All right, so this is the second part of our Target 2C, where we start to talk about cell differentiation. So make sure you take notes on this PowerPoint so that you can use them for your next practice assignment and then for your final test as well. So again, just as a reminder, this is what I would like to see you be able to do by the end of this module. It should say target 2C, not target 1C, but you need to be able to use a model to illustrate the role of the cell cycle and differentiation in producing and maintaining complex organisms. So we need to define cell differentiation, and cell differentiation is when cells in your body change or become different to be able to perform different functions in your body. So it's kind of what it sounds like. Cell differentiation is when your cells become different so that they can do different jobs or different functions in your body. So I have some examples down here. Here we have some neurons, which are brain cells. I did not mean to put brain cells, but your neurons are your brain cells. So we can see that with here, this entire thing is one long cell. So this entire thing is one long cell. We kind of have like a middle part and then this longer part. That's because your brain has to be able to send signals from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. It has to be able to know that something is touching your toe, or that your toe is in pain, or that your feet are hot or cold. Same with the rest of your body. So we have to have these really long neurons that reach from our brain to everywhere in our body, which is why our neurons are super long. They also have these little like tree-like looking things, palm tree-like things, and that's for your neurons to be able to accept signals from other neurons so that your body can talk to itself, so that we know when you smash your finger in the door or something, we know that it hurts. It sends the signal from the finger to your brain. Then we have our epithelial cells, or our skin cells. These are really thin, these are really flat. So you shed a lot of skin cells every single day, all day long. So we have these like layers of protection for our skin that can be easily shed. That's one of the reasons why your skin cells reproduce and go through the cell cycle so quickly, is because we are constantly replacing our skin. We also have our osteocytes, or our bone cells. That's this brown picture right here. To me, it kind of looks like wood, like a wood from a tree or tree ring. Our bone cells are very compact. They're very tight together. That's because we need our bones to be structurally sound. We need them to be strong, so that way we don't just easily break our bones. Your skeleton and your bones is what keeps your body up. It's what gives your body shape and form, so we need those to be strong because our entire body is built around our skeletal system. Then we have our muscle cells, or striated muscle. So when you contract and relax your muscles are going to kind of spring together and then fall apart, or I guess loosen. So our muscles need to be kind of long and thin and slender, so that way they can contract, kind of like a spring when you push it together, and then when you let it go, it'll bounce back to its normal shape. That's kind of what's happening with our muscle cells as well. So now that we know a little bit more about the cell cycle, and we know a little bit more about cell differentiation, which one of these cells do you think the cell cycle is occurring more in? So remember, the cell cycle is the process in which we take one individual cell and we split it so that there are two identical cells. So we have our onion root tip. So this is like a root from a plant that's in the ground. So this is the very tip of that root in an onion plant, and then we have a leaf slide. So I want you to take a minute, pause the video, try and answer this question on your own, and then you can check your work by listening to my answer here in a second. So it's actually going to be this onion root tip, and that's because a root from a plant is growing. It's growing deep into the ground. It wants to be able to get moisture. So anything that is growing is going to be going through the cell cycle. Remember, that was one of the reasons why we go through the cell cycle, so that we can physically grow larger. So those roots want to go as deep into the ground as possible, so they're going to continue to get really long, which means they need more cells, which means it's going to be going through the cell cycle. Plant leaves usually grow. They do grow, but they grow to a certain amount and then they stop growing. So some plants have really large leaves, some plants have really small leaves, but once that plant leaf is done growing to its maximum size, it's not going to keep growing anymore. So it's really not going to be going through the cell cycle as often as something like a root from a plant that's going to be growing. So that was just kind of a little bit of a review of our cell cycle. And now we need to kind of talk about how that relates to cell differentiation. So we're going to talk about what the purpose is of cell differentiation and why our body would need lots of different cells. So we're going to answer our question, how are your cells different from one another? So again, I would write the question down and then I would just write the answer that I have, and you can add to it if you would like to. So how are your cells different from one another? We saw from those pictures of the different types of cells that we have, neuron cells, osteocytes, our bone cells, our skin cells. They're different shapes, they're different sizes, they all have different functions. So that's how our cells are different. Now we need to kind of know why our cells are different. So why would our cells in our body need to be different? Why would they need to be different shapes? Why would they need to be different sizes? And this is so that they can function properly. So different shapes and sizes allow our cells to do their specific jobs better. So kind of like with our neurons, they need to be really long so that way they can reach signals and push out information to our entire body. Something like our bone cells need to be really compact because they need to be really strong so they can support our entire body. So it would not be good if a bone cell looked like a neuron, because bone cells and neurons, or our brain cells, don't do the same things. Lastly, we need to know, how does it help your body to have different types of cells? Our bodies are very, very complex. So our cells need to be different so that we can do all the different functions in our body. We have so many different organs. We have so many different jobs that those organs are doing. So our cells need to be specific to those jobs. So like your cells in your liver and your cells in your stomach need to be able to do different things so that your body can function correctly. All right, so like I said, now we need to start talking about how this relates to the cell cycle. So how does having different types of cells relate back to our cell cycle and one cell becoming two identical cells? So we're going to watch this video and then we'll talk about that.
Lena is sick. Poor thing. I need to go to a repair shop. A repair shop? Lena probably has a fever. She's delirious. Everybody knows that if you're ill, you see a doctor. If the car breaks down, you go to a repair shop. But why really? Yes, it's obvious. Because we humans are good at different things. We are specialized. And the same goes for cells. They are also specialized. In a human body, there are hundreds of different kinds of cell. Nerve cells, bone cells, eye cells, and lots of other cells with their unique properties and tasks. When a sperm and an egg fuse at conception, the very first cell of a new human is created. That cell is not specialized. However, it does have a special ability. From this first cell, it must be possible for all other cell types to develop. That ability makes it a stem cell. The first cell starts to divide. It becomes an embryo, a tiny cell clump that will grow and become a small human being. The cells continue to divide. The embryo grows, and eventually the cells become more specialized. They change in form and function and develop into blood cells, nerve cells, and the special cell types for various organs. This process is called cell differentiation. When the cells are differentiated and specialized, they can no longer develop into any other kind of cell. They are no longer stem cells. There are different kinds of stem cell. We saw that stem cells in the embryo have a maximal ability to develop into any cell type. But stem cells exist also in adults. In this case, stem cells form a repair system for replacing damaged cells and damaged tissue. This makes stem cells very interesting to scientists. Can stem cells be used to produce organs that exactly match your body? If your kidney is damaged and has to be removed, can it be replaced with a new one, grown in a laboratory? Yes, maybe. Already there are examples of knees being repaired with artificial tissue, created with the help of stem cells. Many scientists are working hard to produce other organs this way. Perhaps this is the future in our hospitals. You could say that the researchers are trying to design replacement parts for the human body, a bit like when you produce parts for a car. Perhaps there are some similarities between mechanics and doctors. But Lena doesn't need any replacement parts. She just needs some extra sleep and maybe a little medicine. Get well, Lena.
Alright, sorry if you heard my cat during that video. But this is where we're going to start to connect the cell cycle to cell differentiation. So it kind of talked about it in the video, but when you get a new cell, that cell, or when you have a stem cell, that cell has the potential to become any type of cell. Once that cell is differentiated, it's a nerve cell, it's a skin cell, it's a bone cell, you can no longer have that cell change. Whenever that cell divides, it's going to create another new neuron, or it's going to create another new lung cell. So you'll never go from like a lung cell to a liver cell. You can only get the same exact cell. So a lung cell can only make a lung cell. A liver cell can only make a liver cell. But a stem cell has the potential to become any different type of cell. So that's where we are connecting the cell cycle to cell differentiation. Because when you're born, you start out as a stem cell, you have lots of stem cells. Those cells will eventually then become all the different types of cells that we have in our bodies. All right, so that's all I have for this Target 2C notes. So now you need to read through an article on Canvas. It's very short. It's about stem cells. You need to take the practice assessment that's about those stem cells and about cell differentiation. And then when you're done with that, you need to take the assessment that is over the cell cycle, cell differentiation, and stem cells.